Welcome everyone to another one here on the Mateo Franco DC channel. If you guys haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. We're creating here in the lab, in the studio here at Life Without Fear Chiropractic in Lexington, Kentucky. In today's video, we're gonna go over, is your health insurance keeping you sick? It's been a commonly requested one. People want more information. We connect with a lot of people in the community and they don't understand how health insurance actually works and is keeping them sick. So I wanted to create this video. What you do with it is totally up to you. You can choose to continue to be in these patterns that I'm going to talk about, or you can choose another one that potentially leads you to a better quality of life, healthier, happier lifestyle. So we're going to get right into it. There's going to be three main talking points. If you see me looking over here, I have my information over here just to make sure I follow it and give you guys accurate numbers and data. So there's going to be three things. The first one is the definition of insanity when it comes to our health insurance. The second is just reminding people that health insurance is for profit. They're a business that makes billions of dollars. It's a for-profit. They make that by you paying your premiums and then paying out as little as possible. That's how you increase profit margin. Third is how health insurance is getting away with being a doctor without a license, dictating people's health choices. So we'll go into those three topics. And if you know someone that would benefit from this video, go ahead and share them, tag them in the comments. We want to connect with as many people as possible. What you decide is always your choice. That's a beautiful part about being a human, is you always have a choice. So number one, the definition of insanity when it comes to our health insurance. There's a couple of ways that this can go, but I'll do the health insurance one first. Is I do all of our new patients here. So I get to connect with them up front. They come in, they tell me their symptoms, they tell me what's going on, what their health goals are, what we're looking to achieve with care. And one of the things in that process, I get to understand of what they've tried, what hasn't worked. And so when they come into our office and they've tried all these different things that haven't worked, right? And they only want to get care that's covered by their insurance, there's an important question I'm going to ask. And this happens on our phone calls, this happens out in the community too. I have a very important question for you because it is very important. Is so far, everything that you've tried, that you've told me that hasn't worked, hasn't solved your problem, hasn't been covered by your health insurance, aside from a copay, deductible, or coinsurance? If the answer is yes, then that's what concerns me for you. It does concern me for you. If that was my parent, if that was myself sitting across from there, a grandparent, it would be concerning. Because if you continue to do the same thing expecting a different outcome, that is the definition of insanity, right? And you're in this loop where you pay your premiums, you don't get results. You pay your premiums, you don't get results. And you lose time, energy, money, and more importantly, you lose your quality of life in between. I've seen this play out in my family before. We've pivoted out of this. We still carry health insurance. I'm going to do this anytime I say health insurance because I don't believe it should be called health insurance. It should be called catastrophic emergency or crisis insurance. That's what it's designed for. It's not designed to make us healthier, because if it is, it's failing because we're building more and more hospitals every single day. So for us, me and my family, we pivoted, right? We still carry that for crisis scenarios, but we're always going to go to the best. In crisis scenarios, if it doesn't cover the best surgeons, the best doctors, great. We're going to go pay out of pocket, right? Because we want the best care. We only get one skin suit, right? We can't just go buy another one. Maybe you all have seen it like me and my family in the past. Like, people have tried to buy their health back. They work really hard. They invest their time, energy to collect money over time. They neglect their health. At the end, they try to buy their health back. And it doesn't work. That model's broken. It does not work. So for us, it's taking care of our health all along the way. In the end, you shouldn't have these big bills coming out towards the end of life, right? Because you maintained and built your health up all throughout your life. That way you had a good quality of life. I always say adding life to your years and hopefully in turn adding years to your life. And so this is the definition of insanity. It's the same question that we ask people too on a different note, is if you have the same symptoms, right? And everywhere else that you've gone to chases your symptoms, and you come here expecting us to do the same thing, chase your symptoms, and we expect a different outcome. That is the definition of insanity. We've got to look for root cause solutions. We're going to look at your nervous system that controls and coordinates every function of your body, see if there's pressure on it. If there's pressure on it, we're going to want to remove that. As a byproduct of that, people start to function and feel their best and their symptoms go away, right? And that's why you can see on our website, we have all these different things that we help people from. So that is the definition of insanity. I encourage people to take a look at that. If that's you and you're in that loop, maybe it's time to look for a different approach. Just go to the best, right? And you get to decide what that value is financially, time and energy, quality of life. What's that worth to you, right? It's your choice. Second thing is health insurance is for profit. This is vitally important for us to understand. I'm going to read off some numbers over here. I have United Healthcare's revenue, approximate revenue and profits for the year 2023. Approximate revenue was $37.16 billion. $371.6 billion, billion with a B. Profit margin was $22.4 billion approximately. Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, or Everlance, I believe it's called Everlance now, or they integrated with Everlance. Approximate revenue and profits. Revenue approximate of $170 billion in 2023. Profit margin of $7.5 billion. It's for profit. They make money by you paying your premiums, them working as hard as they can not to pay out. Yes, there's good people in health insurance. I agree with that. The system's broken. How the system works and how the higher ups work is it's a for-profit company. So we have to remember that. And there's ways that they get out when they hand you a big binder in your policy of this big. It's not for ways that for them to pay for your services that you actually need. It's for them to get out of those. And it happens all the time. That's why we left health insurance. I've been in health insurance. We've been out of health insurance, and I can tell you why we left health insurance, and we're going to go through that. So a couple things for us to understand for them being for-profit is there's two handshakes that happen. So there's a handshake with you. This is your policy. I'm going to, as an agent, they promise you the moon. This is what's covered. You get all of these things and over years, and on the back end, they're still shaking hands with doctors or providers like over time to get them in network, but there's a contract to be in network, right? You have to abide by our policies, right? So one of the things that they'll say in yours, and these are important questions, is specific, I'm going to refer to chiropractic specific because that's the arena that I'm in, is they'll say allowed visits. They don't say guaranteed visits, right? They don't write that in their policy. There's a reason for that. It'd be super easy. I would love if they wrote guaranteed in there. That would make both of our lives a lot easier. They write allowed visits. Some people say I have 40 visits. It says allowed visits, right? Because on the back end, there's this thing called medical necessity, right? We have to treat acute symptomatic care. As soon as you're out of that and we've done X amount of treatments and let's say symptom has gotten better or symptom hasn't gotten better, you reach what's called MMI, maximum medical improvement. At that point, it's no longer covered, right? Whether it's 10 visits, 12 visits, 24 visits, 30 visits, wherever that number is, it doesn't mean that you get those visits, all of those visits in there, right? And if your doctor doesn't abide by that contract policy, then they get audited. And if they find to be at fault for that, guess what? They get kicked out of insurance, and guess what they're doing anyways? Cash, right? So you have to understand it's not just what your policy says, it's also what is being agreed to be a network, what that contract says. Second way that you can also do this, so you can ask your insurance why they write allowed. Like, why can't you just write guaranteed visits? Make it easy. And they won't put it in writing. The second thing of how you know that there's two agreements going on, if you don't want to take my word for it, is call your insurance up and say, hey, I'm looking to go to a local chiropractor. I go to a local chiropractor. I want to know what they get paid to be in network for a 98941, a 3 to 4 region adjustment. Call them and start asking them those CPT codes. Ask them what your chiropractor gets paid. They won't tell you because it's in the contract. There's a reason they don't want you to know, right? Because most of you anyways, you pay your premium and you're still footing 75% of what they're paying your chiropractor. So health insurance to me is very frustrating. That's why I call it catastrophic or emergency. If it helps us save money and we still get to go to the best, great. If not, we're gonna fund that ourselves because we want the best. Right? Your three major assets, health, wealth, and time. If you don't have your health, guess what you're spending all your time and wealth doing? Trying to get your health back, right? So health, take care of your health first. Obviously biased towards that, but I've seen people live a much richer and abundant life when they have their health. There's a saying, right? A woman or a man that doesn't have their health has one wish. A woman or man with their health has a million wishes. So coming back to that. So those are some things that you can ask your insurance. And then key indicators too that your insurance isn't for you, before I dive into them playing doctor without a license, is there's some key tactics that they do. They do this in all sorts of insurance. One is they're going to say that your bills have the wrong CPT codes. They send it back to us or whatever. We send it back. It's the right CPT codes. They're wasting time. That's the biggest thing. Wasting time and energy they want you to give up. That way they don't have to pay out more money. It's a tactic. We've had some of our patients sue their health insurance and win in small claims court. You can do that depending on the bill and how much. They sued them and smoked them. They tried to get them to sign a disclosure agreement before they went in the court, and they said no, right? And the reason for that is our patients trust us, right? Is, hey, these are the correct codes. We know this. I've contacted multiple people. We knew that before we even set them up, but we'll double check again. These are the correct codes. We know that. They're wasting your time, right? They try to drive a wedge between you and your doctor, and they don't pay out in that scenario. So that's a big one. And then the last thing I want to touch on as far as how how your doctors get paid is also an important thing for us to know. And it should be something that you care about. Just like you like to find affordable care, you also want to find doctors that are well taken care of. When your doctor is really well taken care of financially, doesn't have to worry about the stresses outside, just like you, right? When you don't have financial stress, it makes life a lot easier and more enjoyable. Same thing for your doctors, right? They go to school, they have student loans, and I'm not giving you a sob story so you feel sorry for us. It's not that. We all have similar scenarios, but just a reminder that we're all human. And so we have student loans, we go to school for years, and that interest starts the day that we draw from the loan. It's not like it starts at the end. And then here's what happens with health insurance, and I'll talk specifically for chiropractic, is they can cut our fees by us. If we choose to go in network, they can cut our fees by up to 70%, right? The number that we get paid is ridiculously low. It's insane. By 70%. So imagine if your boss walked in, and if you're salary or hourly, your boss walked in and said, you know what, we're going to implement this new payment model. It's called the health insurance model. That's how doctors get paid. You're going to love it. It's going to be great. And they walk in and say, you're going to do the same amount of work. Actually, you're not going to do the same amount of work. You're going to do more work, and we are going to pay you 30% of what you normally get paid, or 70% less. And why is it more work for doctors? Because now that I'm seeing you through insurance, I have to learn coding, I have to learn billing, and I have to spend my time sending out claims and bills, or I have to pay a billing department to do that, which costs me more money, which means I have to see more patients to make up for that, right? You can see how this goes, right? So it's actually more work. They're cutting our fees, and I'm doing more work. You guys can see how insane that sounds, right? That's why you're seeing a lot of doctors start to move to private practice. They're going to cash. This is why you're seeing it. Okay? And so with that said, there's a couple ways that your doctor can get out of that if they want to stay with insurance. Well, one of them is going to be not staying with insurance, but I'll give you 3 of those. First one is they can choose to see 7 times as many patients, which is kind of crazy to think about, right? Is that might not be their capacity. They might not be able to do that, but they're going to do it to try to make up for the loss, which again takes the quality of care, it drops the quality of care and takes it focused off of you individually. Versus if your doctor can actually see the amount of patients, only the amount of patients that they need to see that allows them to give the best attention to and the best quality of care, that's going to be what we want individually. That's what we should want, right? So they're going to have to see 7 times as many people if they want to make up for that loss. The other way they can make up for that loss is they can bring in a bunch of different machines that help you, right? It's not the most important thing that you'll do or the thing that really helps you. It's things that can help you. And they're going to bill your insurance more, so the per visit fee of what they're getting paid through insurance now equals out, but now you're spending way more time at your doctor's office, a half hour, an hour, right? And again, it takes the quality of care down because it's not as focused. They're just trying to make the profit, and your doctor's overhead goes up, so they still have to make up for that overhead. Or the third, which is the option that we chose, is we just go cash. Here's our number based off your specific case. Here's your x-rays, here's your exam. Based on your health goals, this is the plan that we've laid out for you to achieve that. This is the number, right? There's nothing in between. There's no difference. Another part for us is we don't have to accept everyone, right? You can go somewhere else. If it's someone that doesn't, someone asked me the other day, what type of patients do you want in your practice? What is your ideal avatar or patient? I said, committed, committed. If they're not going to do the work, they're not going to show up to their appointments, they're not going to do the small amount of exercises, things that we give them to do at home, then they shouldn't even start, because that's a waste of their time, energy, and money, a waste of my time, energy, and money. I always say your health is your choice, our reputation is ours. So understanding how people get paid is vitally important. It's an important business principle because you're going to learn a lot about who you're working with and what their interests are. So, and you should care that your doctor is well taken care of, because it's going to allow them to give you the best quality of care. So I wanted to touch on that so we can better understand that. And I'm going to come to the third one now, which is health insurance, right? Catastrophic emergency or crisis insurance, being a doctor without a license. And they do that through their policy. So there's a couple ways that they do it. One is their incentive programs. There's incentive programs for doctors to make a specific health choice. Regardless of what the exam, regardless of what your diagnostics say, there's a financial incentive for them to choose an option, which to me is absolutely bonkers in my mind, right? It sounds good in theory if it's going to be a decision that makes people healthy, but how do you know? These health insurance people aren't looking at exams, diagnostics. They're not doctors, right? So it should be your doctor making those calls or decisions with unbiased. It should be objective as possible. So that's one of the ways. The second one is one of my most frustrating ways, and this one absolutely blows my mind. It's through policy. So if you ever try to get an MRI, we've had patients, we do that, we do auto traumas, we work with a lot of athletes and stuff, so we send out for MRIs. One of my least favorite things, it drives me up a wall, and we found partners to get around this, but it's so dumb, right? If we're concerned with a tear or an injury in a specific joint and we want to see an MRI for that, we'll send them out to the MRI, and then what the doc does is they say, well, your insurance says that you need to do 12 rounds of PT before we can do an MRI. I'm like, who's the doctor here? Like, sorry, but who's the doctor here? Right? Are you a doctor, or is your health insurance a doctor? What do you do? Are you just the puppet that health insurance works through? Maybe, right? And so with that, but think about that for a second, right? If you have an injury, let's just say it's a knee injury or a shoulder injury, right? And you have an injury there and you're concerned about a tear, why would you go waste time, energy, and money and your quality of life in between doing PT when you're probably just going to need surgery anyways? The MRI is going to show us exactly what's causing the problem. Once we can see what's causing the problem again, then we can come up with a plan to actually get it fixed. And if PT is the answer, then great. Now we know that. There's certainty in that, right? If it's not PT and there's a better option, we know that now. We don't waste 6 months, 3 months, 12 months, however long that they put you in PT for, and then realize that it was the wrong answer, right? We want certainty. That's why we do x-rays before we adjust. I could hit the high one, hit and pray and hope that it works, right? It's a very inefficient way of healing. It's not specific. I call it patchwork, right? For us, we do specific x-rays and we use a precision adjusting tool, because when I find the segments that are causing the problems in those segments alone, I can make precise adjustments. That's going to let you heal faster versus just hitting and hoping that it works. Right? Same thing with like a heart surgeon, right? Your heart surgeon could do heart surgery without any diagnostics. I don't doubt it, especially if they're experienced and they've done multiple ones and they're they're renowned in what they do. So they can do that, but would you want them to do that would be the question, right? No, I'd want them to look at the diagnostics, know exactly what's going on with the heart, what we need to fix, and how they're going to do it so they can give us the highest success rate as possible. Same thing should happen with our health. We should have diagnostics, objective studies, objective imaging to make sure we're getting the best quality of care. Those are the reasons of why I see health insurance keeping people sick. They let their health insurance dictate the quality of life they live. That is a no-no for me and my family. You can choose what you want for you and your family. I'm all for things being affordable, and if they're going to cover great care and you're getting results, by all means, more power to you, and I'm glad that it's covering it. If it's not and you're in this loop, at some point you've got to make the decision, or you don't, but if you want a different quality of life or a different outcome, you're going to have to make a different decision. And for us, spending the money up front saves us more time, energy, money, and we get our quality of life back faster. Always worth it. Sometimes I know it's a big number, but it's always worth it in hindsight, because now that problem's fixed and we can focus on creating whatever we want in life, living to the fullness of our potential. Again, if you guys know someone that would benefit from this video, please share it or tag them in this video. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.